Who in the world said that Coach Deion Sanders was bad for college football? I'll tell you who and more on today's episode of Locked On Buffs.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? This is Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. This is our first episode of the week, as I was a little under the weather, unable to record yesterday, but we're back. We're back and we're talking college football. And today we're going to be talking about Pat Narduzzi saying Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, his methods are bad for college football. We're going to be talking about some transfers, additions, and then we're going to conclude the episode with some Travis Hunter excitement. But before we do, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. Okay. I was just as surprised as you were hearing my intro that someone said that Coach Prime is bad for college football. So I wrote about it over on Athlon, kind of broke down why it happened, who, what, where, and why, and how, all of the nouns or whatever. My teachers from elementary school would be pumped. Either way, Pitt coach Pat Narduzzi was asked about Coach Prime's transfer portal methods of flipping the roster and what he thought about it, and he did not take kindly to it. This was at the ACC spring meetings sometime this past week. He said, that's not the way it's meant to, talking about the transfer portal. That's not the way it's meant to be. That's not what the rule intended to be. It was not to overhaul your roster. We'll see how it works out, but that to me looks bad on college football coaches across the country. The reflection is on one guy right now, but when you look at it overall, those kids have moms and dads and brothers and sisters and goals in life. I don't know how many of those 70 that really wanted to leave or they were kicked in the butt to get out. So if you guys aren't familiar, Coach Prime infamously told last year's 111 roster, I'm bringing my luggage with me, and it's Louis. Hit the portal, like go do your thing. The guys that stayed and attempted to compete, he gave them a chance, and if they didn't work out, they were also urged to leave following the conclusion of the spring game. Excuse me. But this isn't the first time that Pat Narduzzi has criticized a Pac-12 coach for their He's kind of been a Pac-12 or not Pac-12, maybe a Pac-12 hater. I don't know, a portal hater. Or a portal denier in a way, if you will, just the way it's been used against him. Last year, he lost Jordan Addison to USC, and he was very vocal about how there was tampering going on and very vocal about how it wasn't in like good morals that he left, basically. So he continued saying, oh, here we go. I grew up in a profession that you can't tell a guy that he has to leave based on athletic ability. I think he'll be shocked that he probably had some pretty good football players in that room, talking about Coach Prime and the Colorado team from last year. When I got to Pitt back in 2015, I didn't kick off anybody. Zero. Those are your guys. When you become a head coach, you inherit that team and you coach that team. If someone wants to leave, that's great. You don't kick them out. I disagree with that whole process. That's not why I got into the game, which I wrote about this, and I said this exactly word for word. This is what I said. A noble stance, but also something that wasn't really an option for Narduzzi, as the NCAA now allows first-year coaches some wiggle room when it comes to freeing up roster spots. The NCAA also eliminated the 25-man counter limit for each recruiting cycle, which allows for teams to sign as many players as they desire, as long as it does not exceed the 85-man scholarship limit. Obviously, he thinks that Coach Prime should have just rebuilt with those 111 guys and gone with it. And then his last comments were, he's not the only new head coach in college football. You hear about that anywhere else? No. So a lot to unpack here. Really, I think this is an old man yelling at the cloud kind of meme, like the little meme, because really, one, Coach Prime could do whatever the hell he wants. I mean, they hired him, they're paying him, whoever knows however much money to be the head coach of Colorado. They are fully in on the Coach Prime experience in Boulder, and they said, you do what you have to do, and we will support you. And this is what he said was the best option for this roster. And so the program supports him. Whether other coaches across the country support him, who cares? It's not their job to worry about. It's not their team to worry about. I do think it's interesting because Pitt has taken in some transfers as well. But obviously, when you're not flipping the roster, I guess it's different. Question mark. It's different somehow. I just think this is I think coaches are worried around college football about how successful he could be. Obviously, there's a chance that this whole roster could blow up in his face and like it fails just because there's just so many things going on. Don't think that's going to happen. I'm just saying hypothetically it could, I guess. But Pat Narduzzi, I think he's got a case of the old man yelling at the cloud. This wasn't an option when he was the head coach or took the head coach at Pitt. So it doesn't really matter what he would have done in 2015 or what he did in 2015. Times were different. The transfer portal wasn't even enacted until 2018. So back then, basically the only guys that transfer were grad transfers, or if you did transfer, you had to sit out a whole year. So it obviously wasn't the same. I really just think that some coaches, especially those who may not be able to ever use the portal like Coach Prime has been able to and will be able to as the years go on, I think there's a little sense of they don't like how easy it is for him maybe, or they're just not a fan of what it's doing to the sport, I guess. But I think that's a whole other institutional underlying fear that they have about college football with NIL and other stuff, because obviously that's how he lost Jordan Addison. And so I think they're kind of just lashing out, but I do think it was very bold of him to kind of go as hard as he did, because I don't know. It feels weird to I won't say attack. I'm gonna say attack though. Attack a coach and team that you won't play, that you don't see, because there's no consequences, I guess. Like call out Clemson or call out Florida State. Florida State is using the portal heavily as well. They're not getting they're not catching any flack for it. But I have to say I disagree with Pat. Coach Prime did what he said he was going to do all along. He did what he thought was necessary, and it's within the rules. So I don't think there's anything wrong there. Do I think that there might be transfer rules incoming now? Probably. I've talked about this back on last week's episode. I think it was last week. Shehan Jayaraja of CBS Sports talked about it. There's probably going to be some transfer portal rules because of this. I think the NCAA is very reactive, and they will kind of figure out a way to, if this goes wrong or if there's something that they see wrong with this, they will figure out a way to kind of regulate it. So Pat Narduzzi, this is this week's, I guess, old man yelling at the cloud. So yeah, I'm not sure what he thought that was going to accomplish, besides get him a little more attention and just have people attack him for his thoughts on Coach Prime. But hopefully he got what he wanted, I guess. Making a fast break to FanDuel during the NBA playoffs, because right now new customers can get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Nikola Jokic, triple doubles. I feel like that's a lock, especially in the playoffs. He's been going crazy. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com. Let me help you guys out here a little bit. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Again, that is FanDuel.com/lockedon, and get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Go place your bets. The Nuggets are going to the finals. I'm sad. I'm sad for my Lakers. I'm sad because I thought we had a good chance. We didn't. Obviously, got swept, but it's whatever. Okay, enough about my pity story about my Lakers. It's fine. Let's talk about some transfers. The Shane Hooks saga is finally over. He did not end up with Colorado. He ended up at Auburn. Well, he would be playing for Hugh Freeze. Best of luck to Shane Hooks. I think Colorado's kind of got their wide receiver situation figured out. They got Javon Antonio, who's another big-bodied receiver. They've been filling out as of late. They've brought in, let's see, off the top of my head, Javon Antonio, obviously the USF duo, Jimmy Horn, Xavier Weaver, Jalen Ellis, Tavares Dawson. I'm sure Willie Gaines, that's 6 right there. They brought in a ton of receivers, plus they have 4 stars coming in. So receivers, I feel like they're pretty set. So they did not get him. Happens. I think that they were a little. I think he wanted to play in the SEC. I think he wanted to play for a bigger program. And so best of luck to him. I think, like I said, that's going to be the only issue I think Coach Prime ever faces at Colorado is that some guys just want to play in the SEC. And especially when a guy who's played at Ohio and Jackson State has a chance to play at a level that high, he will. I also have some destination updates for you for some of the guys that have recently committed from Colorado elsewhere. Up first, there was Victor Venn, the running back, went to Liberty, didn't record a stat this past season. Chase Soul, ECU, Joshua Wiggins, Liberty. I'm just going over the more recent ones. Caden Ludwig, who is a linebacker, is moving to tight end and is also moving to Oregon. Nico Reed, the corner, is going to Oregon as well. Jalen Sammy, I did a bit about it last Friday, I think. He's going to reunite with Mel Tucker at Michigan State. And then Victor Venn. Oh, I got Victor Venn on there twice. No, that's not good. Oh, well. I'll delete that. Victor Venn, Liberty. And then Montana Lemonia's Craig is going to Arizona, which unfortunate. I thought he could have been one of the better receivers for Colorado this upcoming season, but I guess not. I think maybe he just didn't like the role that he was in. Maybe he didn't like the offense. I don't know. I guess we'll never know. But Montana Lemonia's Craig, Arizona, Colorado, and them play each other next year. Enough about the departures and who didn't come here. Let's talk about who's going to Colorado, because the Buffs again landed yet another talent. Kari Mans, or I don't know if it's Kari or Kahari. I'm going to say Kari Mans from Maine, an edge rusher who had a good season this past year. They're nearing 50 transfers now. The New York native recorded 43 tackles this past season for the Black Bears. I like that name, the Black Bears, kind of ferocious, even though the Black Bears are technically Black Bears. This is a little random bear fact. Black Bears are the ones that are kind of scared of humans. Grizzly Bears are the ones that will rip your face off. But Black Bears still a cool mascot. 43 tackles, 6.5 for a loss, 4 sacks. Comes in right away as probably a guy who can at least add depth. I think their edge spot is getting very loaded. They're going to have a lot of guys playing everywhere. Not playing everywhere. They're going to have a lot of guys that have the potential to play. I think right now, if I had to project the starters, I'd go Jordan Dominic and Derek McClendon the second from Florida State. But then there's also Savell Smalls, Kari Mans, the Missouri transfer. His name's slipping my mind right now, but Kari Mans measures in at 6'3", 230. Had a good season this past year. He's listed as a junior right now, so he'll be a senior, I believe, this upcoming season. But yeah, they got a lot of edge rushing help coming, and I think I've talked about it multiple times. You need to get to the quarterback in the Pac-12 because the Pac-12 quarterbacks, one, it's the best conference of quarterbacks this year. Two, they're all mobile. I think the least mobile quarterback in the Pac-12, let me think. It's probably going to be, I'm assuming it's Dante Moore at UCLA. It'd probably be him. And even then, he could kind of move around. If it's Colin Schlee, he's very athletic. And so for the sake of this exercise, we'll say Colin Schlee's the quarterback, the Kansas State transfer. He could run. I'd probably say DJ Uyueglele, and he could run. He's very mobile and strong. And so the Pac-12 is full of mobile quarterbacks who could run, who could scoot, who could evade pressure and move in the pocket. And so adding more edge rusher help is definitely going to be beneficial for Colorado. That's for sure. Let me take you through their edge rusher commits because they have a lot. And while it may seem like a lot, they're going to have probably a very good rotation. So there's obviously Kari Mans. You have Arden Walker from Missouri. I'm going. Savell Smalls from Washington. Chaz Wallace, no. Derek McClendon from Florida State. Deve Harris from Old Dominion. Wrong. There we go. Jordan Dominic from Arkansas. They did have Taylor Upshaw, but he left to Arizona. And then Taj Austin from West Virginia. That's what I was forgetting. So they have a lot of options there. And the more options, the better. I think the competition is going to be stiff. And I think that they're going to have maybe some of these guys can bump over to linebacker or kind of play inside. So we'll see. We're going to see where these guys all fit. I think Colorado's defense is coming together nicely. I think having 2 Power 5 guys like Jordan Dominic and Derek McClendon, the second at edge as your starters, and even Savell Smalls if he's able to kind of come into his own. I think that's good for the program. I'm excited to see what they do with this defense line because they could rotate them. They could do a lot of experiments can be done with this defense line. So we'll just have to wait and see. Before I move on, I want to thank my everyday listeners. I want to thank all my listeners, my viewers, my watchers, my listeners. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Buffs your first podcast every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Everydayers. It's now what I call my everyday listeners. Let me know in the comments if you're an everydayer. Give me questions. I'm going to do a mailbag episode very soon. I want to do a whole topic of questions about Colorado, about the program, about college football in general. Let me know, and I will answer those. I appreciate you guys, and I will continue on with the episode now. Travis Hunter. We all raise your hand if you're excited for Travis Hunter. I'm sure we all raised our hands. Obviously, I can't see you guys, but Travis Hunter is ranked as one of the top 35 players in college football, but I dove deeper into it. He also ranks as a top 5 corner in college football, and he's up there with some pretty good names. Obviously, if you're not familiar with Travis Hunter for some reason, former number 1 overall recruit, was committed to Florida State. Coach Prine flipped his commitment on signing day to Jackson State at the last second, and he obviously followed Coach Prine to Colorado. Is going to play wide receiver and corner for the Buffs, and has a lot of fans very excited, as they should be. The only guys that ranked ahead of them are ahead of him: Kool-Aid McKinstry, Kalen King at Penn State, who Joey Porter Jr. got all of the hype this past season, but Kalen King's actually the better corner between the two. Benjamin Morrison at Notre Dame, then Travis Hunter, and then Will Johnson rounding out the top 5 from Michigan, a freshman sensation. Travis Hunter, I really think I've been talking about the pass rush and how important they are. Travis Hunter is going to face some of the toughest receivers in the country as well. Just off the top of my head, he's going to have Dorian Singer, Jacob Cowing at Arizona. Dorian Singer's from Arizona, went to USC. Jacob Cowing at Arizona, maybe Montana Lamonius Craig too now. And then also there's Troy Franklin at Oregon. So there's going to be a lot of battle. He's going to be battle tested this year. I think he's got a lot to prove. I think being that the national spotlight is on him, he's ranking as a best player in college football already, despite being limited this past season due to injury and stuff. Nothing that he could have changed. It was just he was injured and didn't get to play a lot, or as much as you would like to see him play. But Travis Hunter is a game changer. He's someone that could probably burn every corner in the country, and then you could probably lock up your team's best receiver. And so Colorado needs a massive season out of him. I really think that if he plays up to his potential, on both sides of the ball, Colorado is probably going to a bowl game. He's that big of a difference maker. 2, he'll probably be a top 3 at worst corner. Top 2 probably is my guess. He just has that sort of potential. John Garcia Jr., who's, I'm yelling right now. John Garcia Jr., who's with Rivals now, is a Rivals insighting recruiting expert. He told us on the show a while back that Travis was and had the best ball skills he had ever seen from a recruit. And so now that Colorado has that, he's been working with Coach Prime. Things are on the come up for Travis Hunter and these Buffs. And I think you guys should all be very excited to go check this out. Again, top 4 corner in college football. There's a lot of talented corners out there. Some other names on the list: Fentrell Cypress at Florida State, Cooper DeJean at Iowa, Aiden White at North Carolina State, Josh Newton at TCU, and Marcellus Dial out South Carolina round out the top 10. There's going to be a lot of talented corners all over the place. The Buffs, you guys luckily have one of the best, if not possibly the best. So look out for number. I don't know what number. He didn't earn his number, but I think he was number 10 during the spring game. So look out for whatever number Travis Hunter officially earns. It's going to be huge. It's going to be massive. I think he's kind of a staple of the program. The more success he has playing both ways, the more players like Aaron Butler, Cormani McLean, whoever the next two-way star is for the Buffs, will be more confident. I think more recruits will look to play both ways at Colorado. And if he has success, he sets them up for success. So Travis Hunter, look out for him this season. Look out for Locked On Buffs. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Follow me on Twitter at Kevin_Borba. Follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Buffs. You can follow my writing over at Athlon Sports. It's in the link of this episode. where I'll have updates every day about Colorado football transfers, whatever happens. I got it written just in case I don't get to cover it during my episodes because I record these in the morning. So I appreciate you guys. Make sure to tune in, like, subscribe, share. We're nearing 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. Let's get that number up to 10,000 by the regular season. Don't know if we'll get there, but I'd like to try to get at least close. I appreciate you guys. You guys have a great day. This has been Locked on Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba, and you will see me tomorrow.